Hey everyone, welcome back. So, the end of the year is here, and I think it's about time to choose our top 10 best Nintendo Switch games of 2019. Now, don't worry, if ever there is a game that comes out at the end of December that would have unseated any of these, well, we'll just switch it over to 2020. But since we have the full list of games coming out till the end of the year, although there's some decent games in the list, I don't think any are going to be able to unseat the top 10 of this year, because we've actually had quite a year for the Nintendo Switch. And lastly, just before we get to our list, maybe you've noticed some changes around the channel. And yes, the sound equipment have been upgraded, that's why you might see the microphone here right in front of my mouth. I want to have the most crystal clear sound I can for all of you guys, so you're going to be seeing the mic in the videos from now on. And secondly, yes, the beard is gone, but that's only temporary. It'll be back in a week or two. So 2019 has been such an incredible year for the Switch that narrowing down the list to only 10 games was actually quite difficult. So difficult that there's actually 5 games that I want to make an honorable mention that honestly almost made the list had this not been such a fantastic year for the Switch. So really quickly, let's take just a 2-minute look at these games, and here they are. So first we have Alien Isolation. This game actually came out just last week. It's a port of a great survival game, and it even outdoes the PS4 version because it's been remastered for the Switch and the port's been done with such quality. Secondly, we have Cadence of Hyrule, which if you haven't experienced is such an original use of the Zelda property that I really recommend it for anyone that hasn't played that game yet. After that, we have Final Fantasy XII, which is an incredible remaster of the PlayStation 2 game. Once again, if you haven't played it, take a look at it. After that, we have Cuphead releasing in April. It's a port of an Xbox game, but nonetheless, it was new for this year for the Switch. And once again, if you can deal with the difficulty of that game, because it is quite difficult, it's a must-have for a Switch owner. And lastly, we have the Spyro Reignited trilogy. Once again, when a remaster of a game has been done with such quality, and this one really from the ground up, right along Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy, it's the same quality of remaster. It really brought Spyro to a new generation, and those are some great gaming experiences. Now, let's get to that list of top 10. So don't forget that this is my personal list of top 10s, meaning that if you disagree with the positioning of any of these, or even the inclusion of some of these games, if there's some games you would have put instead of these, feel free to comment down below. It'll be a lot of fun to discuss this all together. So first, at number 10, we have Untitled Goose Game. And I know a lot of people would maybe even put this game higher on the list, but in my personal gaming experience, it is one of the greatest games to come out for the Switch in 2019. But like I said, there's so many other good games that I positioned it at number 10. Now, if you've never played this game, basically it's an indie game where you play a goose whose sole purpose is causing havoc and basically annoying the people of a small town. And honestly, it's a one-of-a-kind experience that could only be developed by an indie developer, because there's no way a big game studio would have invested in such an outlandish idea. But what was put together turned out to be one hell of a great game. So if you haven't played this game yet, I seriously recommend trying it. Untitled Goose Game is a great Switch game for 2019. Now, if we move on to number 9, this is probably going to be another one of those controversial choices, but I put Pokemon Sword and Shield. A lot of people are either going to have this game probably higher on their list or just not there at all, depending on your positioning on the game, but overall I found that it was one great gaming experience. However, like a lot of the controversy says, it isn't a perfect Pokemon game, which is the reason why it doesn't end up any higher on my list. But if you haven't played it yet, it's an awesome experience. The only thing is that you really have to get to the end game as quick as possible, in my opinion, because the weak point of the game is the storyline. However, the end game is one of the better Pokemon endgame experiences, which is why the game is being positioned at number 9 and not any higher on my list. However, for a first outing for a main console Pokemon game on the Switch, it's a decent first try, and I'm looking forward to what Game Freak will come out next year, which will probably be the evolution of this formula. Now, we get to number 8, and we're already at The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Now, this is a game that most people never thought was going to release on the Switch, And when it did, it actually came to a surprise. On top of it, all being loaded onto one cartridge was quite a surprise for a lot of people, and it's a great gaming experience. Once again, some people will maybe have this game a lot higher on their list of top 10 games for 2019. The only reason for me that it isn't any higher is although it's an excellent port that I never thought was going to make it, there is a bit of deception in the graphical quality when you're playing it in dock mode. This is really one of those games that is best experienced in portable mode because the downgraded graphics that they use to be able to have the game even work on the Switch actually places the game in a position where when you play it on a huge screen, you can really see those imperfections. However, in dock mode, it's a great experience, and having The Witcher 3 in a portable format is a one-of-a-kind experience, which is why it still made the list of top 10 games in my opinion. Now, coming in at number 7, we have Astral Chain. A totally original property for the Nintendo Switch in 2019, Astral Chain is really a great example of what you can do when you think out of the box. It marries perfectly action gameplay with puzzle solving and even a really gripping and original storyline. So Astral Chain actually made quite a few people jealous that it wasn't released on multiple consoles and that it was a unique release for the Nintendo Switch. And it really is a perfect example of what you can do with the power that the Nintendo Switch has, because the graphic intensity is perfect for the system, whether you're playing in dock mode or in handheld mode. So if you haven't experienced Astral Chain yet, it really is a great game and it is well positioned at number 7 on our list. So now we're already at number 6. And at number 6, I'm placing Ori and the Blind Forest. Often regarded as a perfect example of a Metroidvania-style platformer, Ori and the Blind Forest has a truly remarkable visual style and a truly remarkable marriage of perfect difficulty with reward. Basically, if you make it to the end of this game, you'll be thanking yourself for pushing your way through the whole experience. And it's often regarded as the best game released on the Xbox 360 because yes, this is a port of an Xbox 360 original. It just shows you at the quality of the library we have on the Switch that the best game on the 360 comes in at 6th on our list of the best games of 2019. Now next on our list, at number 5, we have Fire Emblem Three Houses. Now Fire Emblem has always been one of the best Nintendo series in my opinion. However, Three Houses really pushes that to the next level. Fire Emblem, although it's great roots, since it's a strategy RPG, it's always had a little bit of difficulty hitting that mainstream audience. And Three Houses is really one of the best entries in the series that allows to bridge that gap with the mainstream, just because its characters and main storyline is so compelling to a mainstream audience. So Fire Emblem, if you're going to get into the series, Three Houses is a perfect entry point for someone who's never tried the series before, and even for someone who's never tried a strategy RPG before, give Fire Emblem Three Houses a chance. You will really most likely be surprised with just how fun and compelling this game is. And now we're getting to number 4. And at number 4, we have Dragon Quest XI. Now Dragon Quest XI is a traditional turn-based RPG right along the lines of Final Fantasy. And once again, it's a perfect entry point to the series and pretty much the best in the series so far in my opinion. Now if you've never played a Dragon Quest game, don't be scared. It is a huge game, but it is very easy to learn and it is very easy to get immersed in. You can even try a demo of the game, which is the first 10 hours of gameplay, and all your progress will be transferred over to the main game if you buy it later down the road. So that shows you just how confident the developers were with this game to allow you to play the first 10 hours of the game free with no purchase necessary. Now, at number 3, I placed Super Mario Maker 2. Now, Super Mario Maker 2 is such an original experience, not only because of the game itself, but because of the community it has created. So in Mario Maker, you basically as the game title suggests, make your own Mario levels and get to play through them. There is a one-player campaign, but that is not the beauty of the game. The beauty of the game is really challenging you and other people online to complete the levels you create. And honestly, the only limit to this game is the limit of your imagination, and the community keeps pushing forward and forward, bringing up new content and new concepts every single day. Now, if you've never played Mario Maker 2 before, buy this game. You will not regret it, and you'll probably get addicted within just a few days. Now, honestly, at number 3, it is really one of the best overall games on the Nintendo Switch. Now next we have The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening coming in at number 2. And now I have a personal bias for this game because I have such a strong attachment to it. And if you want to check out my review of the game, I go into a little more details into all of that. But let's talk about the game. This is pretty much a remake from the ground up of what a lot of people regard as the best game to ever come out on the original Game Boy. And honestly, it's been redone in a style that is so perfect. They chose this sort of claymation type style that with an overhead traditional Zelda game, there's no way a better style could have been chosen for this. And especially without going into too many spoilers, because of the ending of the game, you'll see how this sort of imaginary artistic style that was chosen really fits perfectly with the storyline. Now, although the game is plagued with a few frame rate issues here and there, the overall experience is perfect for the Switch. And honestly, if you play in handheld mode, I would say the game plays even better because it brings you back to those roots of the original Game Boy gameplay. So Link's Awakening, in my opinion, is really deserving of one of the top spots on our list, and it's coming in at number 2. So here we are at the end of our list. We are at position number 1. And the game that I placed at the top of 2019, in my opinion, is Luigi's Mansion 3. Now, why did I place Luigi's Mansion 3 at number 1? Well, number 1, the game is just fantastic. It is one of the best gameplay experiences, just in pure fun, that you're ever going to have on the Nintendo Switch, at least to date. And secondly, it's also because of how much it's advanced its franchise. The Luigi's Mansion franchise has always been present on the Nintendo consoles, but it's always been a sort of secondary property. But I find that with Luigi's Mansion 3, with how much they've advanced the game, it's become really a primary franchise. The game really is that good. And the animation is probably one of the best I've ever seen for the Nintendo Switch. Basically, the cutscenes look like you're playing a Pixar movie, and even with Link's Awakening having frame rate issues, Luigi's Mansion 3 has better visuals and has no frame rate issues whatsoever. So if you haven't played this game, do yourself a favor, pick it up. It's probably never going to drop in price, or at least not till the end of the life cycle for the Nintendo Switch. And honestly, you will not be making a mistake. And I really place this game as the best Nintendo Switch game of 2019. So there we are, we're at the end of our list. And honestly, it's been, as I said earlier, a fantastic year for the Nintendo Switch. And although I made 5 honorable mentions, that list could have easily been 2 to 3 times longer, just because there's been so many great games coming out this year. But I think I did a pretty good job of selecting the 10 games that really demonstrated the power of the platform and the power of the Nintendo Switch the most. And that's really why I think those 10 games should be selected as the top 10 Nintendo Switch games of 2019. However, as I said earlier, if any of you disagree with my choices, please leave it down in the comments. It'll be a pleasure to discuss with you guys. If there's any games you think I forgot on the list, please let me know. Obviously, I haven't played every Nintendo Switch game out there, but I think I've played pretty much all the big titles that came out this year. As usual, I'll also be leaving affiliate links in the video down below, so if you want to pick up any of these games and you want to help the channel out at the same time, please use those links. It really does help out a lot and helps me make more content for all of you. And at the same time, since we're so close to Christmas, any of these games will be perfect gifts for anyone who owns a Nintendo Switch and doesn't have any of these games yet. Lastly, as usual, please don't forget to like and subscribe and activate the notification bell if you want to know about all the videos I come out with. And I hope I'll see all of you in my next video.